could we be seeing a Bitcoin ETF approval today? In today's video, we're going to be discussing what the rumors are, what is going on with the world of crypto, and where the future might take Bitcoin. Let's roll that intro and get right down into it. So there are a lot of rumors flying around at the moment around whether or not the SEC are going to be approving multiple Bitcoin spot ETFs. These are the exchange traded funds. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what unfolds here for Bitcoin and the crypto market with whether or not a ETF approval is coming for Bitcoin. Now, this video is going out later today, so we may even, in fact, have seen a Bitcoin spot ETF approval today, and obviously we'll know a little bit around how the market is going to react to that. I'm going to share my thoughts and opinions on what I think the longer term view is here for Bitcoin, and we'll see whether or not Bitcoin spot ETF is approved today, and if it is, what actually happens to the price. So for these rumors that are kind of flying around at the moment, obviously we see lots of deadlines and things going on. Next week's going to be a real big week, I think, for the SEC and these Bitcoin spot ETFs, whether they are rejected, delayed, or approved. I think long term we are still going to be having the same output, which ultimately will be moves to the downside for Bitcoin and the crypto market. This is something that we kind of have spoken about quite widely for quite some time on the channel. This isn't anything that should be alarming or new to any of you regular viewers. If there is anyone new, then this might be a bit of a shock to you guys. But ultimately, we do see Bitcoin requiring a healthy correction. Now, these healthy corrections in the market, could be 20 to 30%, and it's very easy to actually see a 30% drop in Bitcoin. It might not be something that we want to hear. It's something that I think you need to hear, though, because otherwise you get trapped out in your positions thinking that they can only ever go up, up, and up, right? And it's very important that we understand that this correction that I think is coming for Bitcoin and coming for the crypto market is just a healthy one. This is a part of any bullish market. We eventually do see these lifts up, but before we have those kind of parabolic moves, we normally have a pretty healthy correction. If we just review back where we were in 2019, June, July of 2019, we had just lifted up very healthy percentages for Bitcoin, and we saw a very nice healthy correction to the downside. I think we came in at about 55%. That was 55% of the move to the upside, okay? And that move kind of shocked the market. People kind of got thinking to themselves, they were trapped in their positions and, usual kind of stuff. People get wrecked during those moments of volatility. But the other thing that we have to kind of consider here is that led us into, a big surge in 2021. Obviously, the pandemic and everything that was going on there really did help out massively when it came to what is going on with 2021's bull market, but ultimately the recipe and the market was ready for a significant surge to the upside. In order for us to have that surge, you had to first have a correction. That correction from 2019 into 2020 was enhanced by the pandemic, but it was already happening way before COVID, etc. was well known. So it's really important that we understand that healthy corrections are very much a part of this space. So that brings us back, of course, to what's going on here in January 2024, right? We've seen a very healthy move to the upside. We've pushed up, towards $45,000 very healthily, although a little bit unusual because we were not expecting it to go as far as it did in 2023, but nonetheless, it has got there, which is fantastic. And now we're here, we have the catalyst for a big move to the downside. And there's many different reasons. You can look at various different parts around the world to kind of try to understand why the markets are more than likely going to be moving down. There's some insights as well across some of the other sectors. And what's interesting is you had BitMEX's CEO also coming out recently talking about how the banks are potentially going to see another crisis like we saw last year. And that could potentially be, a really big eye-opener for many investors. So, we're talking about a few more banks potentially going bankrupt early in 2024 over in the US. This could potentially lead you know, a 20 to 30% correction, maybe even 40% for Bitcoin and the crypto market, which ultimately will line up nicely with a big sell the news event with the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Fed pivot potentially, because when the banks are in crisis, it's going to lead nothing more than the Fed requiring to print more money, essentially probably lowering their interest rates for the first time in months. And that could potentially lead us out of the correction to the downside and back up into another really bullish market. So we kind of see a lot of things unfolding here, right? The SEC approving Bitcoin spot ETFs, I think, is just going to be a sell the news event. We might move up a little bit before we start seeing the selling pressure, but ultimately I think we're going to see a lot of retail investors get wrecked as they believe that the price is just going to shoot straight up, and you're going to see new all-time highs on the back of approvals. Ultimately, Bitcoin spot ETF approvals does not mean that there's a product automatically launching. I reckon we're 3 to 6 months out from Bitcoin spot ETFs actually launching and us actually seeing Bitcoin spot ETF products where investors can invest in them. So I think there's a lot of things to kind of be looking forward to with that, but for now, I think ultimately where we are in Q1 of 2024, we're going to see a lot more, I think, to the downside. What we've seen so far is a bit of a taster. It kind of gets us in the door for seeing some kind of areas of accumulation to start to buy up some assets if we wanted to. But ultimately, I think we're going to be moving down more towards $30,000 Bitcoin, and some altcoins will probably go down into new bear market lows at that point. I don't think it's done just yet. So I think this video is really just a bit of an update to make sure that everyone is on the same page as to kind of where I am, where I think things are heading in terms of Bitcoin. Today is, you know, a date that everyone has penciled in their diaries for Bitcoin spot ETFs. And these kind of things, when you have a date such as the 10th of January next week, where a lot of people are, you know, circled that day as a big event happening, when that happens, you generally find that a lot more people are selling that news than buying it. No one's going to be waiting to buy until you have the news. Typically, you buy in anticipation of the news. And so Bitcoin spot ETFs, I think, will become a sell the news event. Even if we do see a little bit of buying from uneducated retail investors pushing the price up at the point of approval, anyone who is already in the space was looking at Bitcoin spot ETFs as a speculative investment opportunity, are looking to probably take profits once that actual news breaks. Bullish or bearish, I don't think it really matters. Sentiment is obviously quite bullish still, obviously still holding above the $40,000 level, but I think once that gets lost and we start going down back into the 30s, I think the bears are going to have more control over the market, and we're likely to see a lot more selling pressure start mounting for Bitcoin, and we're going to see a lot more damage to those altcoins. But I do want to urge everyone, guys, that obviously when we see these things and we see all that negativity and we see potential pullbacks in the market, that is the opportunity. That is not something to be feared. It is something to be taking advantage of, in my humble opinion. So obviously I will be buying the dip as I did I think it was yesterday or the day before. I'll continue to do that as the market pulls back down. I'll be dollar cost averaging into more positions and building my portfolio and buying up people's fears, thinking that we're just going down even deeper. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And if you are interested in a technical analysis, why not check this video out right here, where I speak about what is going on in the market on the 1 hour, 1 day, and 1 week's timeframes.